Well, this music tier list is doing all right. I mean, at least for a commentary video. Maybe I should put out another smaller video to just keep the momentum up. How about the Civ icons? I have some hot takes on those. That could be a nice, short, quick to make video. Let's talk about graphic design, the source of my spiral. When I started playing Civ 7, I knew I didn't like a lot of the logos. There was just something about them that was inconsistent, hard to put my finger on. So I wanted to make a video going over my thoughts on the logo and what they could do better. But then I started looking closer, and closer, and closer until I decided, screw it, I could do it better myself. That's right, I'm doing what all the backseat game devs and chronic complainers can't do, and actually put my money where my mouth is. So over the past few months, I've taught myself Adobe Illustrator and Civilization 7 modding, and behold, my greatest creation. Well, I'm not actually going to show you any of them yet. There's a whole video left. You idiot. Yes, I made a full-ass mod changing every Civilization 7 icon. Why everyone? Why not just the bad ones? Well, the reason's a little teensy tiny bit technical. In the base game, each of the logos have a bit of peach fuzz around them to hide some of the rougher edges. However, it's really tough to replicate consistently, so it's better for me to just remake the logos from scratch. Also, it's a consistency thing. It's my crackpot theory that a bunch of different artists were assigned to make logos at Firaxis, which is what led to such differing styles on all of them. However, I am one man with a basic grasp on graphic design and a dream. What I've noticed on my holy quest is that people tend to share very, very different opinions about what makes a good Civ logo. There's a good chance you disagree with a lot of the choices I make for this mod, but instead of running down to the comments section to say I needed the very obscure thing instead of the other very obscure thing, here's an alternative. Boom, boom, boom. Pay attention. Here are the full instructions on how to make your own versions of the logos and mod them into the game. Honestly, it's pretty easy. You can even take my code and upload it to your own mod. I mean, just be sure to credit me, of course. Don't steal code, that's bad. It's easier to judge than it is to create. I know that. So instead of judging these logos by your criteria, hold me responsible for my criteria. So here are my specific goals for this icon redesign project. Your intentions may differ. Like I said, a lot of mods out there, and you can make your own. This is the criteria I personally would like to follow. Number one main point, cohesiveness. Most importantly, these icons need to make sense as a group. The level of detail between them should be consistent, as should stylistic elements like line weight, edges, spacing between elements, complexity, etc. There's a lot about this group that doesn't make sense when you look closer into it. Like, why do the laurels between the Roman and Shawnee logos have such a disparity in detail? Why are the edges on the Russia logo so much rounder compared to the Prussia logo? Get rid of it. Everything needs to look like it makes sense in a group. Number two, readability. The next most important thing to me is making sure each civilization logo is readable at a glance. I mean, sure, looking at all these lined up like this is simple to tell what each icon is, but what civ was that? Oh, it's a little hard to tell, huh? Here, I'll show you another one, just standing still. Oh, what, did you forget your glasses today? Good design needs to be easily readable from up close and afar, or on your computer screen, real big or real small. But that's not the only aspect of readability. Be honest, if you saw this logo on its own, how long would it take for you to realize it's supposed to be Chinese? And have you even figured out yet that it's supposed to represent a phoenix? Number three, uniqueness. Oh boy. Whenever people talk about Civ icon redesigns, there's a big trend I notice. Eagles, 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 eagles. This is Philadelphia's wet dream. I'm being really serious when I say half the icons could feasibly be eagles or similar birds of prey. And that presents a big issue when trying to make these logos. You need to be able to tell the difference between a Prussian, Russian, and Mexican eagle at a glance. Number four, historiosity. This one's lower on my list intentionally. It's certainly very important to base everything on real historical symbols, but a lot of mods will purposely choose the most accurate symbols for the time periods. I appreciate that. However, the other 3 categories are more important for me. That being said, Civ 7 does have a lot of strangely pseudo-historical stuff, and I will be changing that whenever I can. Number 5, probably the most subjective, style. For me, these icons, they're not just stupid little symbols, they're your country, your people. And how do I want to feel when I play Civ? Like a badass. Compare the 6 and 7 China symbols. Which would you pick times up? You already know the answer. Look how cool that dragon is. Basically, I want to be able to show these symbols to a random person on the street and have them vaguely enough tell me what country they're supposed to represent. Ignore the fact people don't know geography and that people are stupid. These logos need to be simple and easy to digest, and that's what I'm going for. Cohesiveness, readability, uniqueness, historicity, and style. Just a quick disclaimer too, the banners that appear behind the leaders cannot currently be changed. They're part of the art dev code, which has not been uploaded yet, so modders can't make any custom files until firaxis releases them. If you agree that firaxis should release the art dev files, tweet #release the Aside from that, oh my god, can this guy shut up already? firaxis has a couple ground rules that I'm also going to be adhering to. Number 1, no flags. Probably the best option for something like Britain is just the Union Jack, but hey, that's not how I'm gonna roll. Symbols on flags are fine, just no flag lines or stripes. Number 2, no words or letters. There's a bit of leeway on this one for letters from dead languages like Sumerian or Phoenician logos from 6, or letters with a strong historical tie like the omega on the Greek logo. Otherwise, no SPQR. That's the reason I won't be setting Ming's logo to this flag, because if you're a Chinese person playing the game, it's just going to look like this. Number 3 is that I'm going to avoid any depiction of humans in the icons. Not as hard of a rules, but personally, I think it's pretty lame. Right now, this applies to Bulgaria and Assyria, so sorry guys, you gotta go. Finally, I have to give a massive shout out to everyone who gave me feedback on this project. While I wanted my style to be consistent, if left to my own devices, I would have made some very bad decisions, so I welcome some community feedback. I'd like to give a quick shout out to these lovely people from the Civ 7 modding Discord and these lovely people from my personal Discord, link in the description, for helping me through this whole ordeal. Anyways, let's rock. Let's start things out alphabetically with Aksum. Currently, the symbol's a variation of the Ethiopian cross. It's good for being distinct and very simple, but it's not really recognizable as Ethiopian, so I'd like to add a couple details to it. This relief in particular is very wavy in its design. I was looking to add some knots to the center of the cross, or I could reference this beta design for Aksum. It looks sick. That's also just the Star of David though. Don't know why that's there. So I proposed this alternate pitch with a similar design, extending the ideas present. People seem to like the swirls better, so that's why I stuck with. For a while, they weren't really rendering well, so I made one more version with some cross beams across these sides, which I think read a lot better at a smaller distance. And there you go, Aksum. I have 40 more to go. Abbasid. The Abbasid symbol represents the Girith tiles, a long-standing Muslim tradition of geometric tile patterns. Allegedly, this is from the Abbasid Palace in Baghdad, but I couldn't verify that. People like this logo a lot, so it might be a bit surprising that I did try to change it to something else. I liked the Civ 6 crescent. It was fun. I'm not sorry about that. But I did concede to popular demand on this one, so I didn't change this one too much, aside from adding some slight tapering to the edges and mixing up the design in the middle just to better suit what I wanted. I didn't use any of the crazy Arabic calligraphy due to my no text rule, so this is where we stand. America. Common suggestion I've seen for America is using the 13 stars from the original Betty Ross flag, because in Civ 7, America is very colonial themed. I like that idea. Maybe I'll do that if they add a 4th modern era America, but for my money, the American shield is one of the most recognizable symbols from the Civ series. At least it's one of my faves, so it's sticking around. Assyria. Man, what are we going to do about Assyria? I think we're all in agreement that the current symbol needs to go. It's over-detailed. ugly, not cohesive with the rest of the logos in the slightest. But what do we replace it with? The first option you might think of is the Star of Shamash, which was around for the Old Kingdom and is still in use by Assyrian people to this day. Hell, Civ 5 even used this symbol, and that's for good reason. I'm a bit hesitant on it though for two reasons. First is that there is a modern political movement with the symbol, that with the Assyrian independence movement. My second reason is a bit more practical. In the flag, the sun rays stretch out way too far and might look bad on a logo, unlike in Civ 5. So for the other options, my main two were the winged sun, which is a symbol for Ashur, or a Lamassu, which is an Assyrian type of griffin. I actually mocked up all of these because I was pretty evenly split on them. Here's the three concepts I put together, and after the votes came in, the Star of Shamash won pretty handily. I thought I cooked with the griffin, but hey, people wanted the star, no biggie. Spent like 4 hours on the other two. Britain is another software from the good concept, bad execution. The crown is an iconic symbol for England and Civ, and nobody I talked to really wanted to get rid of it. However, the issue came from bringing it up to my design standards. The current one looks dorky, so I combined a few elements of the St. Edward's crown into the Queen Camilla crown, specifically the lumps in the top and the curves at the bottom, like in Civ 6. And this is what we're left with. It's a bit ahistorical with the specific references, but I do think it's unabashedly British, and that's what I'm here for. Also, I might have created biblically accurate Britain.
Hello.
Buganda has always had a pretty good symbol as is. It's clean, recognizable, maybe too simple. It's alright. However, my issue is future-proofing it. A lot of sub-Saharan African countries use the Maasai shield, and the Zulu and Civ are very heavily associated with that icon. So between redesigning the current shield and making something new, I opted for the latter. I had this design floating around using the Ugandan crane symbol, and I feel like it works pretty well for Uganda, so I repurposed it here. Until I realized it didn't read well at all, so I actually made the executive decision to go back and redo this one to bring the shield back. There's a couple that didn't work so well in-game once I actually tried to test them out. This part's unscripted, by the way, if you can't tell, but that's that. So, shield's back on the menu. Bulgaria, ouch, this one needs to go. The emblem, this might be the worst in the whole game. I'm not even gonna lie. And as it turns out, if you dig, there's a lot you could do to improve it. There's this letter, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce from the Second Bulgarian Empire flag, and also these lions, this bull, the Pilkso rosette, or the glyph in the middle of that rosette. This is what I came up for the unpronounceable glyph, and I think it's pretty well executed from an icon standpoint. This one might change in the future, but I like it. Hey, sorry to interrupt, just gonna butt in for a moment here. This video's taken a long time in the oven, and I do apologize for that, but if you're interested in hearing me talk more about Civ, which, given you're 12 minutes into this video, I assume so, why not drop a subscription? I got some pretty big plans in the works. Hopefully they won't take as long as this one, but, you know. I want to rank the whole Civ 6 OST at 1,000 subscribers, so if we can make it happen, we'll make it happen. Alright, back to the video. Carthage. Currently, Carthage has the sign of Tanit as their icon. I really can't think of anything better. Simple, iconic, recognizable, unique, so all I did for them was redraw it to better fit it in my style, so boom, done job. Chola's current icon? It's pretty ugly. I mean, look at this face. This tiger looks blazed out of its mind. There's not really much besides the tiger I can change it to, so it's time for a bit of a creative interpretation. I avoided using the whole cat to avoid visual confusion with the Normans, Persia, Qajar, Mughal. Man, there's a lot of lines here. So I settled on having the tiger's face shown in the side profile instead, a la this flag. Yeah, it looks like a bit of an elementary school sports team, but like, shut up. Egypt's another easy one. Thanks to pop culture, this just screams Egypt. And it's been their logo ever since 4, so I'm not going to change it now. The Eye of Horus is just that iconic. I am now realizing this is the Eye of Ra, not the Eye of Horus. Two different things, left, right, religion, so, Civ 4. Anyways, here's what I came up with. Nothing groundbreaking, but hey, that's just what I want. France, the unstoppable force. Napoleon didn't like the fleur-de-lis and wanted to avoid it. France's Civ 7 is based on Napoleonic France. The immovable object. The fleur-de-lis is like really iconic though. Like it's the only one with an emoji. That one doesn't count. Originally I was leaning to keep it, but most people really wanted something more representative of that era of France. So I was between the Gallic rooster and the cockade tricolor. I actually really liked Matt's version of the Gallic rooster, so I tried to replicate that here. And I think visually it's different enough from Buganda. Okay, this one's outdated. Might bring back the fleur-de-lis at some point. Who knows? Greece sucks. Because I really like the Omega. It's super badass, it's iconic, and bam! It's there! It's the Omega! But there's like no history to it. And I thought there was, but no, not really. I couldn't find any historical use for it. I don't want to change it because it's so recognizable from the Civs series, but so I settled on something a little less iconic and a little more ionic. Do you guys get it? Do you guys get the joke? I opted for the lyre, specifically that used by Aphrodite in Greek mythology. Very prominent symbol, and what can I say? I like the music. It's got the same general shape as the Omega, which I think is a very cool compromise, and it has some history with Greek mythology, so that's pretty chill. I'm sure you have already typed out a comment about which other of the 9,000 symbols I could have used. I don't care though. Han. For the Chinese Civs, I didn't want to just do the seal script as mentioned, so I was looking for alternatives to the Hans. It feels a bit unnatural for China, but damn, I really found nothing else. Oh, I just decided to keep it. Boring, but hey, Civ players will recognize it anyway, and that's fine with me. I made the horse a little angry though, that fits the vibes more. Hawaii. Hawaii looks a little goofy to my taste, but there's not really much else the symbol can be. Like, it's a good symbol, but I think it could have been done better. Holy guacamole, the paddles are off center. Look at this. Where's the QI on this game? You need a man. So here's my version. It's a bit cooler looking, pretty swag, got some negative space. Next. Inca. The Incan chacana is iconic, a perfect symbol for the region and very recognizable. Which is sad because I can't be the only one that thinks it's a little lame, right? Plus, it's a bit too simple for the art style I'm going for, so I want to jazz it up a bit. I was inspired by these engravings at Tiwanaku, and turning the circle into a diamond, which you can see on occasion. So I added the outline, and honestly, I think it looks sick. I think it really elevates the whole design into being super cool. Kamai. Guess what? I'm mad again. This looks stupid. I thought so in Civ 6, and I thought so now. So what options do we have to replace it? How about something from their flag? They never had a flag. How about a glyph from an ancient script? It's basically the same as modern Khmer, no written language. How about Gaishima? We already got 4 lions and an elephant. A representation of Vishnu? No human figures. What about a Naga? Again, no humans. Some other sculptures from the era? Wow. Legitimately, if anyone could come up with something that fits my criteria, I would love to hear it. But that's the real black pill of this all. I didn't want to do buildings as a soft rule, but there's really nothing else for Khmer. And in my research, I found out their architecture is way, way deeper than I thought it went, with each Southeast Asia state, and even each era within each state having a distinct style. It's actually kind of perfect to represent each nation, so screw it. The praying stays. I'm not basing it off any particular building to avoid the, what happens if you don't get Angkor Wat issue. And here we are, not my finest work, but legitimately, if you have a better alternative, I need to hear it. There's probably a firaxis artist listening to this video thinking, yes, somebody gets the struggle. I see you. Majapahit. I think that's how the narrator says it. In a very stark contrast, I saw very little to change them. It's good as is. Simple, clean, iconic to Civ, good historical reference. Yeah, next one. Okay, Maurya's a bit tricky. The lotus symbol they go to is an example of bad execution for me. There's no chance those line weights render correctly at further distances. It's funny because they actually locked in pretty well on the Civ 6 version, so this is a big downgrade. There's a few alternate options for them, like the Ashoka pillar, maybe a peacock symbol. I was leaning towards keeping the lotus personally, but it seems a lot of people wanted the lion, so hey, I tested it out. But I thought the lotus ended up better. Sorry, don't sue me. Maya, I don't really have any strong thoughts on Maya's logo. So it's mainly between keeping the current Kukulkan symbol or the EK glyph. There was a lot of disagreement between the council on this one, so I ended up holding a poll between my version of the Kolkokan and the EK glyph, and also the Ajog glyph. And this was a hard-fought race, but the Feathered Serpent ended up taking it. With sincerest apologies to Orion. Japan. I do like the Sakura flower, but admittedly, it is a bit hard to make look cool. To that end, the chrysanthemum symbol is very iconic for Meiji Japan, so I wanted to keep it in instead. The main issue I had with the symbol in 7, of course, was the line weight, so I went to fix that up. Oh my god, is this an Ace Attorney reference? Mexico. Welcome to Eagle Country. There's basically nothing else fitting for Mexico without getting really funky with it, so we're keeping the bird I hate. However, the current logo looks a bit too much like a blob, so I presented 2 versions with some better visual clarity. And yeah, the side profile won, no surprises there. Ming, just like Han, we have the issue with nothing being super specific to that period of Chinese history, aside from their lexicographic symbol. But the Chinese phoenix, specifically the Feng Huang, is already super iconic. I'd feel bad if it wasn't in at least one of the 3 Chinese symbols, at the very least. Plus, I had the feeling that I could cook on this one, given I had no clue what the official version was supposed to be. And did I cook with it? That's a little homework for you to decide. MISSISSIPPI. The Kato cross here, it's kind of perfect for Mississippi. I just made it extra thick. Damn, that's probably the easiest one I'm going to do. Mongolia. So the Mongol symbol comes from this flame on their flag. I saw a few people suggest to use the full symbol. I may or may not be saving that for another Civ, Trollface. And it seems like the flame logo isn't going anywhere in the Civ series, so that's what I'm keeping. I modeled mine after the 5 version, in particular. Mughal. I went into Mughal's logo knowing I wanted to replace the lion symbol. There's no world where Kajar and Mughal can coexist with very similar icons, and unfortunately, Kajar's is just far more iconic. I got the suggestion to use a peacock throne for the symbol, or to just use a common Morak radial motif found in some Mughal art. I also put this one up to a vote, and it looks like the flower design won. Then I abstracted it a lot from the original version, and then I abstracted it some more, because some of the smaller design elements weren't really rendering right. But hey, that's what we got for Mughal. Nepal kind of stumped me at first. The symbols from the flag are an obvious choice, but the logo really never fit to me. This time I mean literally, it's too tall and it looks crazy awkward compared to the rest of the civs on the banners. So I was stumped for a frankly embarrassing amount of time on what to do, until I realized I could just use the top star. Admittedly, not my proudest moment here. I specifically used the pre-1962 version of the flag, which is actually more accurate than the one currently used. So you historical accuracy fans get a rare win with this one. A Norman. Funny how this one worked out. The Normans have the exact opposite problem as Mughals. This line, way too wide. Obviously the lion isn't going to get changed to something else, so I was tasked with condensing the lion. Or putting to like the William the Conqueror banner. But, you know, that didn't read very well. You know what? It was pretty tricky, but I think I managed to nail it. Prussia was another one I was pretty split on. Not because it's a bad reference, but it just kind of looked a little stupid with the swirly hat on top. I still think the lion is distinct enough from the others to keep on the roster though. Facing left and having a big wing, ultimately, I decided to keep it. It's not a bad symbol. Also, Olvaham mentioned that my design looked a lot like the coat of arms of Samarkand, which was completely unintentional. I mean completely intentional. I'm the best. Prussia. For Prussia, I had something very particular in mind. See, for a project I made a long time ago, I made the logos for a bunch of potential Civ 6 DLC nations, Prussia included. I always loved how theirs came out, even all these years later. It was so distinct from the others by only having the upper half of the torso and a very unique wing shape. And it's actually a lot more accurate to the original Prussian flag, so fun reference to an old project, and it's a lot cooler and more distinct. That's a win in my book. Kajar ended up in a very similar boat to Prussia, where I do have an older logo that I really like the design of. The current logo, I mean, I like it in an ironic sense. Like, I'd kill for firaxis to make a plushie of this guy. He's so fluffy. At least it would be a better choice than these freaks. But seriously, all of the smaller details get lost immediately at lower resolutions. I really don't know the thought process behind it here. So yeah, pretty simple conversion here. Also, fun fact, I originally made this for the Safavids, and they should have 1000% gotten into Civ over Kajar. On a related note, would you guys be interested in a video of me going over the civs they picked to be in 7? I think it's a really interesting topic. I don't know if you guys would be interested in something like that, but let me know. Ching. So what Ching had the same icon for the past 3 Civ games, that being the Azure Dragon. This is definitely the most accurate version of it. And I don't like it, sorry! The Civ 6 version was so simple, so dynamic, so much aura, one of the coolest looking ones in the game. The Civ 7 version looks like a Muppet. So yeah, I brought back the Civ 6 version. Rome. So the laurel wreath is iconic to Rome, and in the Civ franchise. Problem is, it is a bit generic. Easily be confused with Greece. So I went on the hunt for a few more representative options. The most obvious one is this one. I'm personally vetoing the Luperca because it's nasty. Have you seen it? I appreciate the Romans for being so kink positive, but ew. I landed on the shield design as the other option. Iconic, but very representative of Rome, and pretty cool nonetheless. I threw this one up to another vote, and this one was a close battle, very close battle. But eventually, the laurel wreath took the crown. I mean, it's fitting. Russia. I really don't want to change the Russian eagle. It's iconic to history and Civ. However, I will be changing the specific design to it to be more in line with the Civ 6 counterpart. Now that Prussia has the raised wings, I think Russia should take the lowered wings just for contrast. I really love how slick the logo in 6 was. Perfect tapering, nice and bold, A+ for me, so I tried to represent it here. The Shawnee logo is pretty anachronistic as is because it's based on a modern Shawnee tribe of Oklahoma flag. Oh, that's the tribe they worked with when making the Civ, that makes sense. In my research, there's really nothing else that it could have been otherwise, so I'm happy just sticking to the star. But this also goes to show what I really hate about the Civ 7 logos. Why is the wreath so crinkly and detailed compared to Rome's? There's no shot this actually translates over in-game either, so for visual clarity, I'm redesigning the logo a bit to make it more distinct from Rome, while still having that same reference. Siam. And for our final modern Civ, we have Siam. From a graphic design perspective, Siam's logo is one of my favorites in the whole bunch. The strong silhouette, tapers line, chef's kiss, no notes. In fact, I've been using Siam as a bit of a reference for a lot of the other animal icons, so I really do not want to change this one too much, as it already has a very strong historical association too. Scylla. Well, the moon is cool. Everyone I spoke to agreed that Scylla's icon was way too generic for what it was meant to represent. A few options were thrown around, but the one I landed on, I really liked. The crowns of Scylla. There are a bunch of crowns made during the Scylla Kingdom period, and they remained in use during Korean monarchies for centuries afterwards. It's unique, iconic, recognizable in Korea to this day, and a little familiar. Oh, that's why. So I put this together, and holy smokes, I think I cooked here. It's simple, but it works really well for what it represents. There's some cool synergy between the curves and the straight prongs. It's perfect. Oh my god, we're almost there. So the current Songhai symbol is based on the Bogolafini fabrics, but I could not really find any examples of this particular motif. But then again, there's not really any other notable flags or symbols I could find, so I'd rather just reuse the symbol that's already enshrined in Civ than make up something obscure. Spain. Alright, turns out everybody and their mother has an opinion on what icon Spain should have. There are some very split opinions about whether to keep the Castle of Castile, or try and get something that more represents Spain as a whole. After putting it up to a vote, we decided to change it to something else. And I could think of no better way to represent Spain than the bull. No. Could you imagine if I actually did? You guys would have murdered me. I opted for the Order of Santiago symbol. It was one of the military orders founded during the Reconquista and has existed for a long time, even to this day. It's pretty iconic and distinct compared to everything else. And it's similar to the Civ 5 Spanish icon, which is nice because Civ 7 Spain is very similar to Civ 5 rendition. So yeah, it's super cool. Oh my god. We're here. We're finally here. Dai Viet's icon is way too over-detailed. It's so hard to follow visually, and it doesn't even have a specific reference to justify that. But I had a replacement in mind at the very, very start. The Lockbird. This is a mythical creature that shows up everywhere in Vietnamese art, and it's super cool looking already. I think this is the perfect fit. And that's it. Obviously, they are not perfect. In fact, I think a lot of them individually are worse than the original game counterparts, but as a group, that's what we're cooking. I'm so glad there are no more Civs coming out that would render this entire video obsolete right before it's completed. Okay, I'm just gonna blast through these real quick. You guys know how I'm operating at this point. Ottoman symbol, it stays. Got a good historical basis, simple and clean. It was like this in 6. Makes a lot of sense. I like it more than the triangle version. For the pirates, you can't choose anything other than a skull and crossbones. And while my version is less accurate to the flying gang standard, I feel like it fits the leader banners a lot better. And come on, it's pirates. Look at this, it's badass. Iceland, bit of a design challenge because all their iconography is shared with their fellow Viking nations, making it hard to be distinct. The stockfish as the logo was thrown around, and believe me, it pains me to turn down a fish icon, but it didn't really read well. I decided to go with what Sucretag did for his Iceland mod and use a runic symbol because why would I not choose a magic rune? That's cool as hell. My version is very abstracted from the original Age of Slamur, but I feel like it still embodies the vibes of Iceland very well. And finally, for Tonga, this bird's gotta go. I said it before, but genuinely, what were they thinking with this icon? I chose the symbol from the modern coat of arms for Tonga. I know it's a bit anachronistic, but I treat it with a similar logic as the Assyria, Shawnee, Hawaii, Nepal. They're all in a very similar boat of using a more modern symbol to represent it. My other main concern was using this Fata'o Tuitonga tattoo design, but given I could only find it on some random website I can't verify, I chose not. And now we're actually here. The full set of revised Civ 7 logos. It's taken far too long, but I really hope all the effort I put into this shines through. Now, let's talk about colors. It's not nearly as big of a deal as it was in Civ 6, given that Civs use leader colors in the base game, and each civilization's typical colors only show up on their civic icons. But still, firaxis, you gotta lock in on these. Why the hell do 5 of them have the exact same color scheme? This pisses me off. I'm not gonna dwell too long on any of these changes given how inconsequential they are, but boom, here's all the civic icons. I tried my best to give them all a unique color just like in previous games. Except for you, Civ 6 Arabia and Ethiopia. I swear to God, it was so perfect, why did you have to ruin it? If you're curious to hear more on my logic on any of these color choices, just let me know in the comments. I'll explain it there because this video is long enough as is. And with that, everything's set. Behold my first actual Civilization 7 mod. It's in the description, you can go download it right now. I just want to personally thank everyone who's stuck around this far because there's been so many things I've had to learn for this project. Adobe Illustrator, Civ 7 SDK, and for this video it's my first time using DaVinci Resolve and my first time with this snazzy new avatar. I love this channel, and I love this little community of Civilization hyperfans I've fostered here. And if the video output doesn't reflect it, I'm always neck deep in a cool project, usually Civ related. So if you want to keep up to date with everyone I make, you really should hop in my Discord. It's a good time. And you know what? I've waited this long to announce it. I may as well treat you to something super secret. For all you Civilization 6 fan-made OST fans, good news, the project's still going. In fact, I'm gearing up to release every single song in a debut album on all major music platforms. And every single song has gotten a full remaster to bring it up to my modern music standards. This is gonna be sick as hell. Oh, one more thing. Listen, I'm a bit of a showman at heart. I know there's a lot of logos you might not agree with here, and that's fine. I knew going in that nobody can agree with Civilization icons if their life depended on it. So, I chose all the ones I personally like the most and put them in the mod. But just because I'm feeling a little extra generous, if you check the description of this video, you'll find a Google Drive link with all the alternate icons I've made. All you gotta do is download my mod off Steam, head to your workshop folder, find my mod, copy it over to your Civ 7 local mod folder, find all the symbols you want to replace, delete both the PNG and blank file versions of them, and then load in the symbols like I said earlier in the video. Okay, that's a little complicated, and I do apologize for that. I wanted to make it so you could switch between them in-game, in real time, but things with the UI are a bit spunky right now. So take it on good faith, I did try and make that work, but this is the best solution I have. And this is just a little thing I wanted to throw together. I'm not going to dedicate the rest of my life to making obscure logos for every single Civ. But this will be updated as new Civs come out, so no worries there. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching to the end of this absolute nerd fest, and I'll see you in 7 months. Cue the outro.